Hey there, folks. How you doing today? Welcome back to the channel. This is another episode of Fans Only Unfiltered content. This is something that I do for the loyal viewers of the show that watch all the stuff that we put out here. In this episode, we're going to cover some upcoming projects, some channel updates, and a little bit of viewer feedback. But first, the chores. Here's a tech tip for you. When you're mowing out close to the road, angle your discharge so it blows back into the yard so you don't leave a bunch of green wet grass out in the road for motorcycles driving by. But we're not done yet. Alright, so here's a tech tip for you. While you're out mowing the grass in the garden, try not to mow over all of the little wildflowers that are popping up. Just leave them where you can. It makes the girl that you live with happy, and there's something to be said for that. Been pretty wet here with all the rain, so I had to use some unconventional tactics to get that going. I'll leave that up to your imagination. So if you suffered through all that, thank you. I just did that because there are some of you that I think maybe don't realize that outside of a normal Monday through Friday 9 to 5 type job, which, yeah, we'll just say that's what I have. I do have a full-time job that I work, but I also have a lot of obligations here and helping other folks, and finding time to do this isn't always the easiest thing to do. So for those of you that appreciate the effort involved, thank you. Let's see here. Upcoming projects. I'll throw it up here. If you didn't see the video that I did just yesterday on the Gideon Optics Advocate, I left the box out here so I would remember to talk about it. I think that video went really well, but in that video, I'm sure some of you saw the 2 rifles that were out on the table. We're going to be doing reviews on both of those in the very near future. Also, just the other day, I did this video on my top 10 Rugers, or list of 10 Rugers, however you want to call it. And in that video, there were 2 new Ruger rifles, the Hawkeye guide gun and the American Gen 2 in 243. We're also going to be doing reviews on those in the very near future. I'm excited about all 4 of those projects, but as the little grass cutting clip showed you, folks, I am really, really busy, and I'm trying to focus on priorities. That's why I went ahead and did the Gideon Advocate optic video before I messed with the rifle review videos, because the rifle review videos are something I'm doing on my own. The Gideon optic, that guy sent it to me, and that was a collaboration that we had. So out of respect for his efforts, I wanted to go ahead and get that one out. So that's why stuff like that happens in the order that it happens in. When you're doing a rifle review, you have to first obtain the rifle. Second, put an optic on it, generally speaking. Third, order ammunition. Anybody that's ordered ammunition recently knows that stuff is expensive, as most of you know, with the exception of a few folks tossing stuff to us to review. I do all my own stunts, so stuff's out of pocket, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So if you understand all that, then I'm sure you're fine with the little bit of lag going into those projects, but they are rolling. I've got them going in the background. I'm working them over in my head to try to put them together to make them as entertaining and educational as possible for you folks. Just know that it takes some time. Channel update. A really big project. I mentioned it in the last channel update video that I did, and that is this summer I am expecting to do a very large project that is non-firearm related. It is instead related to the old Jeep that I have sitting right outside here. I'm actually going to take the camera down here in a minute, and I'm going to take you outside, and we'll do a real quick walkthrough, and I will explain as I go the steps necessary to get that going. Just understand, once I start that project, the rest of this is going to dry up a little bit. So what I'm hoping to do is get those 4 rifle reviews that I mentioned a little while ago done, get them put together, ready to go, and I'm going to hold off on releasing them and release one every maybe 7 to 10 days over the course of the next few weeks, so that you guys have something new to watch that's related to the firearm stuff, because I know a great deal of you are only on here for that stuff. However, in the mix of all that, we're going to be starting the other project, which is an automotive project. So hopefully some of you guys will be interested in that. If you're into wrenching on your own cars, hopefully that'll go over well with some of you, and maybe it might even draw in a few new viewers to the channel. So just know that all that's coming. Again, I'll cut to that and I'll add it into the video after this portion. All right, as promised, here is a view inside the garage of my barn. There is my Jeep, my 89 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, also known as Black Betty, also known as the Canyon Arrow. This thing has been sitting with a dead AMC 360 for almost a decade. It's been sitting still. Back in its glory days, it looked like this, but now it has been sitting. My plans are to get it going this summer. With that in mind, if you come right out here, you'll see a 2001 Chevrolet Suburban with a really rusty frame. Let me get a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about here. This is a low mileage, almost one owner Suburban. It was owned by a guy and then he gave it to his adult children. You'll notice that it has lots of rust underneath it, but the mileage is low and it runs really, really, really good. It was donated. It was given to me so that I could put the motor inside this Jeep. So that's going to be my major project for the upcoming next few months. If you look here, you'll notice I have a cement slab in front of the front part of the Jeep. But then we're dealing with this red dirt nonsense here. It's kind of like the stuff they put on ball fields or horse tracks. It's terrible. If you lay down in it and you're sweaty, you're going to be wearing red mud. And I've got to get the Jeep pulled out of the barn, finish throwing down a cement slab so that I have something to work on. Then I'm going to get the Jeep back in, strip out all the old drivetrain components, clean it up, prep the engine bay and the frame to receive the donor drivetrain from the Suburban. So that's one of those things that's going to be happening in the very near future. Once I start that project, gun projects are going to dry up and almost go away. So just understand that that's what I was talking about. I will try to get a few done in advance that I can put out to keep you guys interested that aren't interested in things like rebuilding old Jeeps. But hopefully there will be a few of you that are interested in that project. Let me know in the comments section if you want to see it. Okay, now where are we at? Well, I think that pretty much covers upcoming projects and the channel update. Ah, yes, viewer feedback. Okay, sorry, I had to scratch my nose and I spared you all that. Comments to videos. The comment section is a wonderful thing. I leave it open on all of my videos, with the exception of here lately, YouTube has been automatically turning the comments off on some things, and I've had to go back in and manually turn them on. But as a general rule, I leave the comment section open on the videos to support dialogue. And for the most part, it's pretty good. You can always kind of tell the difference between folks that have an idea of what they're talking about, folks that really know what they're talking about, and then folks that are so far off out in left field that they're counting dandelions instead of looking for the ball, if that makes any sense. We're going to give a couple of examples of those on here. First, I'm going to cover some very helpful comments, some comments that when I read them, it makes me grateful that I took the time and effort to make these videos. So bear with me, I got to get over here to my list. I'm consulting my infallible memory here on the computer. All right, I did a video a year or so ago on EDC maintenance for the P365 to include striker removal and disassembly. Just 2 days ago, a viewer named Giovanni Ravia, I think that's how you pronounce his name, sent this comment. It says, I just ordered the striker reset spring. Mine did not come with it. Just picked up this P365 NRA last Friday. I'm very surprised I found this video. Giovanni, I'm glad you found it. I hope you subscribed. I look forward to producing other content in the future related to stuff kind of like this. So anytime I take the time to do a video and somebody comments in and says, hey, you helped me out with this, it makes it worthwhile for me having done it. Moving right along. The video I posted yesterday, the Advocate Prism Scope. I've already got 2 really good comments came in on that one. The first one was from a viewer named Broken Nose, said, reload, accurate target acquisition, and target down at that distance in about 3 seconds. Impressive. No sarcasm in this comment. He was referring to this segment And while there was no John Wickiness going on in that segment, there were several things happening all at once, and I have practiced more than most folks. I'm an average shooter by my own definition, but the fact that somebody else looked at that and said, hey, you had quite a bit going on there was something went wrong, and you fixed it, that's what I'm talking about. Another viewer on the same video. Let's see here. This one was Ralph Carroll. Hold on, I got to adjust that. I've got a glare on the screen. It says, we're traveling down the same path. We must be brothers from a different mother. I also just recently watched the YouTube video of Forgotten Weapons interviewing the gentleman from Gideon Optics and was impressed. I also have astigmatism in both eyes. Some red dots and all holographic sights give me trouble. I just purchased a Bear Creek Arsenal upper and lower from the factory in 300 blackout and was needing a sight to put on it. I ordered the Gideon 1x Advocate Prism Scope to put on the rifle. The Gideon Advocate works fantastic for my needs. And by the way, the Bear Creek Arsenal in 300 blackout is great too. No malfunctions of any kind, and it's accurate too. Again, if you haven't seen that video, it just came out yesterday. I encourage you to watch it. I put a lot of effort into it, and I think it was a pretty good video. But the point I'm getting at is here already, within the first 12 hours of having the video out, I had 2 really good comments of people who actually took the time to watch the video and then express either their gratitude for me putting it out or their like-mindedness and like, hey, I think you're on the right track with this. That's really what I'm going for, is to have a back and forth dialogue with like-minded folks who share the same passions that I do when it comes to doing videos like that. With that in mind, give me just a second so I can find it.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
All right. Several months ago, my hot water heater sprung a leak. It was October, you had Christmas right around the corner. I wasn't looking forward to replacing a $600+ water heater right then, so I attempted to fix it. I noticed that the leak appeared to be coming from the bung where the upper element screws into the side of the tank, so I bought replacement elements with replacement seals, crossed my fingers, and hoped for the best. The following day, I went back to check it, and I observed a small drop of water at the base. Now I could tell that it was from behind where the element screws into the tank, rather it was where the threaded bung and the tank join. It appeared to be leaking from the weld, not from the rubber seal. So I did a short little video showing how I was going to try to repair it. I purchased some JB Weld tank putty. It's made for pressurized tanks. I purchased some of that putty, mixed it up, put it on there. I cleaned it up first. You're working through a little tiny hole this big, but I got a hard little wire brush, and I went in there and I cleaned it up. I dried it off. I cleaned it with, I think it was either acetone or denatured alcohol before I applied the putty so that the surface would be nice and clean. But I made the repair. I waited a couple of hours. I reinstalled the new element with a new gasket, and it lasted for about 6 months before another leak happened in another area on the tank. So I did wind up replacing it back in March. Just know that the repair, where I repaired it with the putty, held, and it held for at least 6 months. I went ahead and replaced it because of the other leak after that. With that in mind, a viewer by the name of John Botten replied in on the video and says, typical YouTube video that leaves out the details. If you want to help someone that isn't familiar with the project, show them the details, such as cleaning the gasket surface and installing the gasket. I won't bother to finish watching, as I have done this dozens of times myself. All right. Most of what he mentioned there in criticism was covered in the video. The video was only, I didn't go back and check, but I think it was like 7 or 8 minutes long. So you're not talking about a half hour or 45-minute instructional video that somebody just glanced over. This was a relatively short and concise video. That being said, by his own admission, he only watched part of it before he started banging away on his keyboard. With that in mind, I actually went back and checked the analytics for that video for that day. He only watched 3 minutes of the video. So there's that. I guess my gripe, my rant on this topic would be, if you're going to criticize the video, perhaps make sure that whatever it is you're criticizing in the video wasn't actually covered in the video. So I'll leave it at that. I'll quit complaining about that comment. Now, with that in mind, let me find it here. Now, with that in mind, I had another viewer by the name of Chingon2, I'm guessing at the pronunciation of that, commented on the same video and said, I would have just replaced the rubber seal gasket, which they do sell, $7, or the heater element, $13, and done. Other parts are still functional. I didn't go back to check and see if he actually watched the whole video or not. I responded to his comment, and I tried to be nice. I said, actually, both elements and seal were replaced, and the leak was not coming from the sealing surface, rather from a pinhole in the weld between the threaded bung and the tank body. But thanks for your input anyway. We kind of covered that in my rant a few minutes ago, but that's what I responded back to this guy. In relation to that original comment that Chingon2 posted, another viewer replied back, and this was P. Burton Artcom, says, well, now I'm confused. The element was or wasn't leaking? Pinhole in the weld of the tank or the element? Thanks. So I responded back to him. I said, at P. Burton Artcom 1224, that's his username. Despite the attempt at helpful criticism by the original comment left by Chingon2, the pinhole was in the weld connecting the threaded bung to the tank. The element and the seal were replaced the day prior. The pinhole was discovered the following day when the initial repair was inspected. I apologize for any misdirection caused by the attempted helpfulness of the unhelpful. Thanks for watching. That might sound like a passive-aggressive rant. The point I'm getting to is, you'll post something online. Somebody may or may not watch it, may or may not pay attention to it while they watch it, but then they have the freedom, because I leave the comment section open, to make comments in relation to the video that they did or didn't watch. With that in mind, other people who are actually trying to figure something out come through, read through the comment section, see something like that, and it confuses them. I guess what I'm getting at is, if you're going to be helpful and leave comments that are critical in nature, at least give the courtesy of actually watching what it is that you're criticizing. I guess that's what I'm getting at. 99% of you, this is never an issue. This is like less than 1% of the comments that I receive are like this, but they could potentially be harmful or unhelpful at the very least to somebody else. All right. Let me see. Give me just a second. Let me look through these. I've got a couple of them left. I should have put them in order. That would have helped. All right. The remaining comments that I have left for this portion of the comment section are all opinion pieces, I guess. And I have requested some celebrity assistance in answering these following questions. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and read through all of the questions, and then I'm going to have my celebrity guest join us to answer the comments. First one. This was in relation to the Canik Mate MC9 tabletop and range review video that I did a few months ago. That pistol, by the way, is a really good pistol in my opinion. That being said, John Menini posted about 2 weeks ago, it might have been longer, all Turkish gun, the are junk. Okay. Moving forward, I did a video a while back on empty chamber or loaded chamber for concealed carry. That's the thumbnail for that. I'll put a link in the description if you're not familiar with it and you want to watch it. But I've had a lot of feedback. Some of it has been opposing viewpoints, and that's 100% okay. I had a viewer the other day with a very beautiful AI representation of a blonde man and the username Blessed Faith, who left this comment in relation to that video. If person can't handle manual safety with a pistol, how is their rifle safety etiquette / habits doing? ? Shouldn't it be automatic to take the finger off the trigger and put in on safety when the intention is not to shoot anything? If person can't do that, I wouldn't feel safe around them handling firearms. Okay, but then they doubled down. Same viewer left the following comment. If person has trouble with the safety in range practice, it just means they have to practice some more. If you stall a manual car a few times when you are a beginner, it does not mean you need to forget manuals and drive automatic only. With some practice, it will be second nature no matter the situation. Okay. Moving forward. Let's see here. I don't remember. This was one of the little shorts that I did with Uncle Elmer last week. Those are fun. They are meant to be fun. You could learn something if you really wanted to, but they're just little nonsensical, fun video clips, right? Most of y'all got that, right? Marked Man 3990 commented, I hope that was supposed to be a funny video. One of those to make people go hum and not a real thing. For the most part, that was a well-written and properly punctuized comment, so at least there's that. That being said, moving forward, another comment on the same video, or at least a short from the same video, said, You're not my uncle, young feller. I carry the best pistol in the universe. 1911, chambered in 45 ACP. This was left by Savage Lee 6973, which has some kind of cartoonish avatar for a picture icon there. I think that was the last one that I actually posted on here. All right. All those last comments were all what I would consider to be opinions based on videos that I had done, that I typically leave the caveat that they're like, hey, these are my opinions based on my experience, right? So I've got a celebrity coming in to join us to answer all of these questions, and we're going to wrap it up with that. So without further ado, Mr. Jeff Bridges as the dude.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.